was the most high-profile murder case in British history.
You and Miss Howe are defending the accused terrorist from the government.
And you're from the New York Times. I don't speak to journalists about trials relating to matters of national security.
Do you know of any reason which would prejudice your ability to carry out this case?
No, my lord.
No, my lord, I know of no reason.
Co-host, can I have a glass of water, please?
Sure you can. Here you go.
This shit is dry. Dry as hell, man. Closed circuit, man.
It's a dry turd.
No, turd got some moisture to it, man. This is dry.
I said a dry turd. This is like one of those dog turds you find on the side of the road that's been there for like a month.
It's been in the sun all day. It's hard and it's gray. and that's the thing, man. I wouldn't even call this a turd. That's okay. There's a problem. There are two things that are wrong with this movie. One, it's kind of a lame action political techno thriller.
I was about to say, where's the action though?
Exactly. That's part of it.
There's no action.
But the other thing is, it's not even as lame as something like a movie that we saw that was supposed to be some sort of techno thriller a week ago, Paranoia. It's not lame like that. So I can't even go off on this movie like I want to. The movie it's one of those movies that is just kind of there.
You're absolutely right. It is kind of there in the fact that, you know, they have some decent actors in this. They have Eric Bana and Rebecca Hall, where, you know, Eric Bana, it's been a while since I can remember the last movie that he was in, but usually he's somewhat engaging. But in this movie, the first thing they do with him is sit him in front of a desk with a bunch of paperwork. And at that point, that's kind of all you're getting with this movie at some point, you know. People at desk. So,
yeah, people sitting around talking, people in court.
Yeah.
And, I mean, don't
jibber jabbering.
All that jibber jabber.
All that jibber jabber, yeah. And actually, nothing really going on, and a bunch of villains who you wouldn't think would ever really be the villain, and yet you're still wondering, like, what is their motivation for even trying to build up this thing more than it actually would be if you actually had the people who are in charge of this fucking whole setup? You know, why don't you just take them out? Why does James Bond have to get involved with this?
Well, that's the cool thing about this movie that I thought that I actually enjoyed. I mean, because listen, this is one of those movies. It's sort of a political thriller too. And it has a scary premise that the people who are supposed to be protecting you, the people that you think on your side, the government, also the people that don't give a fuck about you, they say, hey, you know what? If you're something that gets in the way of the greater good, then you need to go. In this case,
if you're not with us, you're against
us. And in this case, it's the British government. What you have here is an act of terrorism that occurs. And they take from this terrorist group, they take the only person that survives, and he has a trial coming up. Now, there's something going on here, something kind of shady to where some of the evidence surrounding this guy's case, it's very top secret. And it's so top secret that they have to bring in, it's so classified and top secret that they have to bring in two lawyers who specialize in material such as this. And those two people are lawyers played by Eric Bana as Martin Rose and Rebecca Hall as Claudia Simmons Howe. Now, this shouldn't be a big deal for them to come in and do this. However, there's a catch with this kind of classified information. It's so classified that these two can't talk to each other.
She and I are not allowed to communicate.
An exception can be made for the common courtesies, though evidently not in this case.
Until the actual delivery of the closed material, I am permitted to communicate with Mr. Rhodes. Whether or not I choose to do so is another matter.
Now, as I'm beginning to understand.
So would you please inform this gentleman that I'm here to see Mr. Devlin?
Okay, cool, whatever. But we learned that somewhere in the movie, during some exchanges between them, that, how can I put this, that they were fucking.
Yeah. and when you look at Rebecca Hall, you don't blame Eric Bana. You're like, yeah, well, why not?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's sensitive information. The only sensitive information I'm about to get into is in her pants right here. About to get all up that ass.
My penis is real sensitive right now. need some information.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. So we have sort of a romantic subplot combined with this thriller, because once they start to get into this information, not only can they not reveal their past, which kind of puts their professional careers in jeopardy, but they start to find out that as this classified information doesn't add up, people around them start to die.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like in fact, Eric Bana came on the case because somebody who was doing this died before him. Which I would be like, you know what? Maybe why would you take this case after before that?
Be like, okay, well, what did this guy die of again?
Yeah.
Just fell out of a window. Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was he looking at birds or something? What was sightseeing? I don't know. A little bit more information, please.
Yeah,
and what was he working on?
Exactly. Why would you even want to take this case? But yeah, this lawyer before him, there's questions about his suicide. There's questions about what was this terrorist actually part of this organization? Was he actually working for the government? And the more that they dig deep into this, the more people, it's funny because people tell them, they say, hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't be looking for these you shouldn't be looking for answers to these kind of questions. And those people end up dying. But what these people do, they keep going deeper. You know?
Yeah, I know. They got that shovel and they keep digging in. And for a minute, I felt like I had that shovel because by halfway through this movie, I was fucking tired. I was like, wow, where's this really going? And this is a thriller. Where the hell are the thrills?
That's Jesus. The thing, man. There's no real thrills here. A lot of it is a very slow pace, which is okay. But as we said, this is a movie that puts elements in there that shows that it wants to be more of a fast-paced thriller. If you want to make a political drama, okay, that's one thing. You do that. I'm cool with that. But you know, don't sit up here and give me. Don't sit up here and give me foot chases and car chases and explosions and
paperwork.
Intrigue.
Yeah, and don't give me paperwork.
And and I'm sorry, man. You know,
I don't want that.
It's something about looking at British court scenes that make it more boring than American court scenes. When they sit in there and they put those robes on, they put those big ass wigs on. I don't even get that.
Because that's the thing. I'm like, oh, man, this courtroom is in desperate need of a Tom Cruise and a Jack Nicholson. I mean, really, it really does. Because the courtroom scenes are so realistic that they are really fucking boring. Yet I'm just like, man, I wish this story had a little bit more meat to it because it starts off pretty promising. I mean, you see this whole terrorism act go down, and you're like, man, that's fucked up. And you know, the thing is, you want to know what all this whole case was about, what's leading into it, who are the people involved. And as soon as they try to even give you little hints of that, that's all you really get are little hints. So you really don't see the full rounded gist of what this case is honestly about. It gets into the intrigue so much that the intrigue is so deep. It made me questioning, like, okay, if these people are involved, why would they be involved? And why would they go to this extent to not have people find out? I'm like, what is the whole meaning of this whole court case to begin with?
Well, I get it. I understand what's happening. I mean, it's posing the question. I'll put it to you in deep terms. I'll put it to you in political, in more layman's terms.
Yeah, please.
The deep term is, what would, you know, at what extent is a government willing to go for democracy? At what point do you know too much that doesn't serve the bigger good of the government, and you have to be taken out too, even though most of us will see that as very sinister.
Yeah.
But again, it's for the greater good. Now, to break it down to you in simpler terms, the movie's asking you, okay, what if James Bond had to go and do fucked up shit? You know, what if James Bond always go and kill a supervillain? What if James Bond had to come and take out your grandmother because she knew too much information?
Yeah, that's kind of what it's still. I mean, I got the gist of that towards the end. Yet I was still wondering, like, this still really doesn't make all that much sense, because you know what? They made the sinister part of it so sinister that it got to almost to a cartoonish extent.
Well, I think it's a pretty eerie concept, and I respect the movie for that. But I think you kind of nailed it on certain aspects, man. There's one thing that the movie does, and that is that it has a certain realism about it that takes away from any of the real thrills that is supposed to have. There's like I said, there's a foot chase in here, And it's just like people running, man. You know, I mean, you know, it's funny because they're chasing this one kid, and the kid runs for, you know, a few feet, hides behind a trash can, and the so-called bad guys run right past him, and it's like, okay, that was not very exciting.
And believe me, and I never thought I'd ever say this again, but it's another scene that was begging, like, wow, this really needs a Tom Cruise. You know, I don't know what it is about Tom Cruise and running, but he makes it work. You know?
Yeah, and you know what? In those courtroom scenes, it's like I said, man. You go back to that whole thing of, I'm sorry, when I see a courtroom with people wearing those wigs, it just looks like a room full of ugly chicks.
I can't help but
I can't take it that seriously.
All I keep thinking is like, wow, they still running their courtroom like it's a Monty Python sketch.
I know. Isn't that what it looks like? Instead of people actually conducting like real court business, don't you expect them to say, "Oh, Your Honor, I'd like to bring up a correction wrong. Oh, no.
You can handle the truth."
The truth? You want the truth? I can't. Man, I don't. Yeah, I'm just. The movie just moves a little bit too slow for
it does, man.
For what it's trying to do.
And I tell you what, it moves that slow because you have some really uninteresting characters here. They really, besides the whole relationship between Eric Bana and Rebecca Hall, there's not that much you know about them besides what you get on the surface. They even tried to throw in a couple scenes dealing with Eric Bana and his kid who's played by the kid from Game of Thrones.
Which kid?
You didn't recognize him? He's the cripple kid, the kid with the animal sight.
Really? That's his kid?
Well, yeah, in the movie, yeah, played by that actor. Yeah, not his kid in real life, but yeah.
I'm saying, yeah, that actor.
That little kid.
Are you saying that because that looks like him, or is that really the kid?
No, that really is him. Yeah.
Okay.
That really was him.
I can't recognize that kid unless he's walking with a limp. So,
I know.
or he's got a big retarded man carrying him on a big stack of hay or something.
No, right. You're waiting for his big retarded friend to help him along.
Yeah, he got a big ass retarded man talking about horror in front of him. I don't recognize that kid.
Door. Yeah. But that's the thing. It throws that in there, and you're like, okay, well, what are the point of these scenes besides us just letting us know that this guy has a kid? Like, it doesn't really serve the story at any point to let us get to know this guy even more.
Well, also the movie, like I said, the movie has such a realistic tone to it, and a lot of times, I think that serves a movie for the better. I like seeing a movie actually being able to bring in some of the more unbelievable cinematic elements into a movie that can actually portray it as somewhat realistic. But in this film, you have this whole thing where, okay, so it has a realistic tone to it, and I'm talking about in the way it's shot, but not in the narrative. I mean, you have some characters who, when they again, it's all about convenience. There's certain things that they figure out, right at the spur of the moment, right when something big is about to happen. Oh, wait a minute. That's what they meant. Now I understand. And it's, and those things, I don't like when those things are done in movies that don't seem realistic. When you have it done here in a movie that's trying to have a realistic tone, it stands out a whole lot more. The other thing that bothered me is that there are people around these folks dying at the hands of expert government assassins or expert, Secret Service people. Mm-hmm. And everybody dies except who? Your main characters. And
of course, without them, there's no movie.
Exactly. But I could understand, and people, I'm going to give you just a little bit, I don't know how people are going to see this, but I'm going to try not to spoil as much as possible, but I got to illustrate this point. There's a certain main character in the movie where they are attacked by a Secret Service person. Now, these people have been killing people in secrecy, making it look like an accident, sneaking up on people. But for some reason, when they attack this one main character, they make the loudest noise, coming out from behind the shadows, knocking over shit. And then when they jump on them, the person gets away by not knowing any kind of kung fu or anything like that, or fighting back in any kind of special way. They do it by biting their arm, and then they run out. It's like, man, that Secret Service person sucked ass.
I know, and that's when the movie lost me. I'm like, really? Is this about as actiony as you're going to get with your action scenes? I'm like, all right, I can understand it, because you're dealing with a person who probably shouldn't be doing any kind of karate moves, and I'm not that I'm looking for that, but it just, I don't know. There's just a lot of scenes like that where they just don't really think it through. It seems like it's kind of half-hearted, and that's my biggest problem with this movie is the fact that there's TV shows, there's procedural TV shows, there's court TV that you can watch, which is far, far more interesting than anything.
You can watch Judge Mathis and see more thrills in that than you could in this shit right here.
You can watch Birdman on Cartoon Network.
Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Attorney at Law. And that is more compelling and more interesting than this movie had going on throughout this whole, almost what? It was almost like a 2-hour film or something? No. Yeah, it was about an hour, 30 minutes, I think.
It was a short film.
But I tell you what, as short as it was, it felt fucking long. It felt like I was sitting there forever, just trying to desperately find something to grab onto to hold my interest. I mean, it was really hard for me not to almost doze off at some points in this movie, because there's a lot of nothing going on sometimes in this movie. Just them looking at paperwork and trying to figure out who's doing what to who and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think that there are certain things that definitely stand out in the movie. I like Eric Bana and Rebecca Hall. I mean, they're not really given a whole lot to do.
No, they're good.
But they're good. But I tell you, the person I really like was Jim Broadbent, who plays Attorney General in this. And he's on it. He's in the movie for only a few brief moments. When he's in the movie, it really picks up. Too bad it's for about a minute, for a couple of times in the film.
It's called a cameo.
Yeah, pretty much it is like that. Yeah, and I don't know, man. A movie with this kind of potential, is just sad to see it just kind of play out as something as forgettable as the final product that we get here, man.
Because you're right. I mean, on a technical aspect, it definitely was filmed and shot like, a thrill like this should be shot, yet there was no meat to it,
Yeah.
So on a technical aspect, it did wonders, but story-wise, it did absolutely nothing. It is completely forgettable.
If you want to know what it's like, really, think of Steven Soderbergh's or some of his lesser films. Mm-hmm. Think of Steven Soderbergh, some of his movies that just didn't really come across too well, and that's kind of what this felt like. And so, like I said, not terrible. There's certain things that I think are intriguing here. I think if you were to catch this on television or some video on demand or Netflix kind of thing, it'll be far more interesting when you can tune out the more boring parts. Outside of that, I'm giving this a rental.
Oh man, I was kind of on the verge of giving it a rental, but like I said, if you were to catch this on TV, you would easily turn the channel to watch something more interesting, like Harvey Birdman and Attorney at Law.
Judge Judy.
Yeah, Judge Judy. Yeah. Any of the judges out there. Yeah. So yeah, man, I do have to give it some bullshit, because like I said, besides it just being just the technical aspect of it, and sure, and Eric Bana and Rebecca Hall were good, yet this material was there was just nothing there for them, nothing for them really to do or to get into. I couldn't get into their characters at all. So yeah, this is old bullshit. This is some old bullshit for me. I mean, if you're gonna watch this anywhere, maybe it should be on a closed circuit TV. It's about as interesting as anything you'd see on a closed circuit television.
You see more interesting shit on closed circuit TV.
You're praying for an explosion somewhere. Come on.
I mean, do you remember we were watching that seriously, you could watch security footage and it'd be more interesting. Do you remember that camera footage we saw where that woman was walking with her cell phone and didn't see where she was going and fell into that fountain?
Yeah.
5 minutes. It's a closed circuit TV right there. Better than this hour and a half bullshit right here.
No shit. Now I'm pissed off that they use this title. What a waste of a good title.
Instead of watching this movie, go to the mall and ask to sit in the room with security guards and just watch security cameras all day.
Should have kept her mouth shut.
MI5 do not kill people on the mainland. Then what the hell have you got yourself into?
We're simply trying to defend our client. Dump your bag, dump everything.
Get out of there now.